Hello and welcome to the Art Market Podcasts. I'm Fiona Patterson and today I'm here with Heather Gillespie. Hello Heather, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Now for the listeners, can you tell us a little bit about your background and what it is that you do?
So I'm a glass engraver. I graduated from Edinburgh College of Art in 2006 in glass. I was then lucky enough to go over to the Czech Republic to learn glass engraving, and I was mentored by Lobmeyer, a very prestigious glass company based in Vienna. I was there for a year and a half in the Czech Republic and returned in 2007, where I was given a Arts Council grant and a Crafts Council Next Move Award scheme to help set up my business. I then continued to make unique items of glasswork, so getting my work blown in London from lead crystal glass, and then I would come back to my studio in Cumbria and do the cutting and the engraving from my studio in Barrow. And then this is basically what I've been continuing to do since 2007. More recently, I've been working on a gifts range, which is all due to launch properly in May 2015.
Wow, so you've done quite a lot. I mean, how did it come about with you guys, getting mentored in Vienna and then getting an art council grant? How did all these things happen for you?
Basically, sheer persistence. I went over to the Czech Republic whilst I was at university, and the company saw my engraved work that I was doing currently at Edinburgh. I was self-taught at Edinburgh in engraving, and I mentioned this to my mentor, who was in the Czech Republic, and he then offered me the chance to come over to work with him and to be mentored by him. So that was just a pure fluke. I was in the right place at the right time, really. When I moved back to the UK, I really needed equipment and marketing to help launch my brand and my products. So I spent a good half a year writing an Arts Council proposal, helping, trying to get money from the Arts Council to show my work at Tent London, which is part of London Design Festival. So they gave me the money in order to launch my business.
It's all been carefully considered and planned in some respects, but also it's been a lot of luck.
It has all been planned, but there is a lot of luck involved in it as well. And nothing is ever easy, and you've really got to keep on plugging at it, and hopefully one day you'll get the reward back.
Definitely. Well, it's definitely worked for you, hasn't it? Where are you based at the moment?
I'm based in Barrow-in-Furness in South Cumbria. So my studio is just around the corner from where I live. I also produce some of my work at Cumbria Crystal, which is one of the last remaining full lead crystal factories in the UK, which do everything on site, from the glass blowing through to the cutting, the designing, and the acid polishing. So I'm very lucky to be able to go into the factory and produce my work there.
Now, you live in such a beautiful part of the world. Has that inspired you? Does nature inspire you?
Nature is basically one of the things that I get my inspiration from. The first collection that I made when I was at university was all based on Iceland, but since returning back to Cumbria, my hometown in Barrow, I've become really inspired by the sea and mussels and oysters and different types of fish, and that is really kind of seen throughout my work, especially with the oyster platters that I've produced. They're really quite large pieces of glass which are shaped in a mussel and oyster shell shape. Also with my netting lighting, this is all based on different types of nets that are used for fishing. Back in 2008 and 9, I think, it was Hugh Fearnley-Whittingstall that actually set off the fish fight campaign, and I was watching the programme and I was actually quite shocked at all the trawling that was happening around Cumbria and around the coast of the UK. So to produce those lights, that's basically where I got the inspiration from.
I love that because your lighting is so beautiful and it's just amazing to look at. But the fact that there's a message behind that is wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit about your process?
Yeah, so the process that I use is called copper wheel engraving. There's only a handful of people in the UK that still produce copper wheel engravings. I'm one of the youngest, trying to keep this style of engraving alive, really. It's a very labour-intensive process. There's only one place in the whole of the world that actually produces a glass lathe, and that's in Germany. So I bought a lathe from them a few years ago, and you can buy and you make the spindles that go into this glass engraving machine, and they probably take about 2 hours to produce one of these spindles. And the idea is that you rivet diamond and copper wheels onto the spindle, and the machine is rotating. It's a fixed machine, and you take the glass up to the machinery. So it's not like a dentist drill that most people would associate you engraving glass with. It's actually a different process of lifting the glass up and taking it to the wheel and moving the glass around to produce shapes onto the glass.
When did you first have the idea to create in the way that you do?
I would say I was very inspired by a glass engraver who came to do a talk at Edinburgh whilst I was graduating, because I always thought that I just wanted to be a glass blower. But as soon as I saw the work that she was producing, I was just blown away by it. So I knew that from that moment on that I wanted to be a glass engraver. And I started to do a lot of research into different styles of glass engraving. And the more I kind of looked into glass engraving, it was very kind of stuck in a traditional way. So you would see like traditional nude figures and flowers and motifs. There was not that many glass engravers that were like exploring the boundaries of glass engraving and making it more modern. And that's when I realised that that's what I wanted to do, was to kind of bring the 16th century technique of engraving into a contemporary context.
No, well, yeah, you definitely do. So where do you stock your work then? Where can we find you?
I stock my work at Vessel Gallery in London. I'm basically they're the only stockists of my unique one-off pieces. And with my gifts range, which I'm launching at the moment, I'm kind of looking at small art galleries around the UK that will stock that work. But primarily, I stock solely and exclusively through Vessel Gallery.
So you're showing at the art market on the evening of the 29th and also the day of the 30th of November at Home Firth Indoor Market. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to be showing there?
I'm going to be showing my unique pieces of glasswork from my hand-blown engraved items, which are all one-offs. I'll also be showcasing my gifts range, Christmas decorations, candle holders, and something brand new, literally, that I've made last week is little teapots, glass teapots, which have been beautifully and delicately engraved.
Oh, I love them already. Put my name down, I want one. They sound amazing. This is the way you described it there, and I was like, especially for Christmas. What are you looking forward to about the art market? Are you looking forward to seeing any of the other designer makers or artists?
Well, there's several things that I'm looking forward to, really. Is one being in such a great surrounding with a really high calibre of craft makers, because that's really quite rare to have up north. I'm also excited that the show is up north and it is in Yorkshire, because I think that it's so important to actually showcase designers and makers from the north, because usually you have to go to London or down south in order to show. So I just think it's a great opportunity to showcase my work in the north and with other designer makers that are really passionate about their craft.
Absolutely, definitely. We have such an array of artists and designer makers in the north that, it doesn't, like you say, it doesn't always have to be in London. I mean, London's a great place and a great city, and it's our capital, but there are other places and where we're celebrating artists, and we live here. It's generally artists live in the hills and the valleys, in the dales, in the lakes, and because a lot of artists like the peace and tranquility and nature to be inspired by. Do you find a good community in the lakes as well? Because there's quite a lot of artists in the lakes.
Yeah, there's a lovely little community in the Lake District of different designers and makers. I actually show my work at the Beach Hut Gallery at Kent Bank, and it's a really nice collection of artists and designers that actually show in the small little gallery there, which is just off from the train station. And for that gallery to be there and to exhibit all different designers and makers in the region, I think is really important. It's a really nice little gallery to showcase in.
What advice would you give artists starting out?
Don't give up is the one thing. I think that, it's so easy to get knockbacks, but once you get a knockback, you just got to keep on going, really. Just keep on plugging away at it and just get friends to help, especially with doing shows, because they are quite difficult things to do, with transportation and everything. So, to have a good network of family and friends to help is always good, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. I think having a good support network and people actually understanding what you do. Well, thank you so much for talking to me. I'm looking forward to seeing your work on the 29th and the 30th of November at the Art Market. And look forward to seeing those little teapots too.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. If you would like to know more about the Art Markets, go to www.artmarkets.co.uk. Thank you for listening.